Shabbat Shalom, everyone. This Shabbos is a very special Shabbos. Shabbos Nachamu. Shabbos of Nachamu, Nachamu Ami, comfort, to comfort my people. The very famous vision of Isaiah of the comfort of the Jewish people, of the rebuilding of the Beis HaMikdash. We always read this Torah portion, the Shabbos after the 9th of Av, after such difficult and challenging destruction of the first and second temple. God tells us Nachamu, Nachamu, Nachamu for the first temple, Nachamu for the second temple. It's also Torah portion of the Et Chanan. The Et Chanan equals, it tells us, and I will implore. Moses asks Moshe, God, please let me see the land of Israel. And the way he does that, he says, let me see and pass over to see the land of Israel. And the word that he uses is a word that we very rarely see, Va'et Chanan, and I will implore you. He was begging God so much that God has to say, stop, don't even ask me any longer. Why does God have to say stop, and why is he this strange word? And the answer is the words Va'et Chanan equals up to 515. Every single Hebrew letter in the Hebrew alphabet equals up a numerical value. Aleph, 1, Vav, 6. And the word Ve'et Chanan equals up to 515 times. The Medrash says that Moses asked God 515 times to let him go into the land of Israel, because he saw that the next generation was going into Israel, and the sins of the sin of the spies was over, and the sin of the next generation going in. Maybe God will allow him to go into the land of Israel. And he asked God 515 times to let me go in and see the land. And God says, stop. And the reason why I say stop, the Medrash says, is because if he would have asked one more time, if he would have asked 516th time, then God would have no choice but to let him into the land of Israel. That wasn't the ultimate plan at the time. And that's a whole other discussion. If Moses would have went to the land of Israel, we wouldn't have the whole development of the land of Israel and the rebuilding of the land of Israel and exile and redemption. It would be the light of Moses coming into the land of Israel would be too much. And so God had to stop him in his tracks after 515 times asking. And it's a very powerful idea, because sometimes we'll say, I put on tefillin and I started doing things and I don't see a difference. I don't feel a change. Moses asked God for 515 times. His 516th time, that was the time that it would have happened. And so we have to learn when we pray to Hashem, that we don't just have to limit and expect things to happen. We have to do our part, and as long as we do our part, God will do his part. Sometimes things happen right away, some things take time, but we have to start on a regular basis to change our lives for the better, and then God will answer our prayers. This was the powerful lesson that God tells Moses. But something also very interesting. What does God say? What does Moses ask? Moses asks, let me pass over and see the land of Israel. And there's a famous aphorism: be careful what you ask for, because you might just get it. What does God tell Moses? Come on top of the mountain and I will show you the land from the east to the west, to the north and the south. God grants Moses his wish. Not fully. He doesn't grant him to pass over into the land of Israel, but he does grant him his wish to go on top of the mountain and see the land of Israel. And so it's very important that when we pray, we should think for big things. We should ask for big blessings. We shouldn't ask for small things. There's a famous story of the guy in the shtetl, and he's the daven to Hashem that his cow shouldn't die, so it should be able to give milk, so he should be able to sell milk in the city and be able to give his family a support. Instead of praying to God that he should be wealthy and he should be able to support his whole family, he's praying to God that his cow should stay alive. Sometimes we live in a way where we ask for small things. We just want to survive. But it's not how a Jew should live. A Jew is not about surviving. A Jew should thrive. And so we should ask God for great things. We should ask God for greatness. We should create great goals for ourselves. And this was one of the mistakes. God, he says, let me pass over. It doesn't say just let me go and land it, but let me pass over and see the land. God grants him his wish. Not to pass over, but to see the land. And so as we go into the Shabbos Parshas Ve'es Chanan, we should ask, this is the time we start to pray to God as we're getting into the 15th of Av, which is 45 days from Rosh Hashanah, and we're going to be asking God for a very different year, 2020. This last year, 5784, was a very challenging year, and it's time for the Jewish people around the world, and for Eretz Yisrael, and for Israel. It's time to ask God for great things, for great miracles, things that go beyond, not just for a limited miracle, but great miracles, that we shouldn't have to have any more tragedies and difficulties as we had this past year. So Shabbat Shalom, everyone. May we have comfort, and all those who need to have comfort in their own lives, for their own families, for their own challenges, for our brothers and sisters in Israel. Everyone should have Nachamu Anachmu Ami, a comfort of Shabbos. God should grant us the vision that we have in this week's Torah portion, have Torah, and we should have the ultimate Nachamu, the ultimate comfort, the rebuilding of the Beit HaMikdash already speedily in our day. Shabbat Shalom, everyone. We'll see you tonight at 7:30.